All right, guys, welcome back. Turn 61. Okay, and on this turn, well, the last turn, the last player aside from us has surrendered the Draconian Dreadnought. Well, let's return to the map now. We'll kind of summarize this game, go over the game, and then we'll go to the scoreboard after that. So yeah, the surrender, it's just too much at this point. There's too much going on. We've kind of like taken over the map, and it is, if you've stayed with us this far through these maybe the past 10 turns, it's been kind of a lot, kind of very tedious. And yeah, it makes sense. To summarize the game, this game, we did play kind of like, this is kind of one of my favorite characters, maybe my most favorite character, Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo Baggins, our future Halfling Dreadnought. And I do remember, it is always interesting to kind of like go all the way to the beginning and see where we all started here. And, on turn one, I actually remember on turn one how we had a big cavalry lineup this game. We had 4 pony riders to start. It is kind of a lot. And in the research, I remember seeing, what is it called? Solid engineering. Here it is, solid engineering. Armored units gain extra defense, extra armor. So, yeah, given the large cavalry lineup, in fact, almost all of our units except the farmer, I believe, the pike, were armored. So we took our scrolls here and then immediately put that into the armor buff, which kind of made sense to me. And I think we kind of cleared here, maybe not everything. I think we actually came back later, right? And we went up this way. This was originally a human town, and we took them by force. They may have given us a quest, I don't remember, but we ended up migrating them, and I think it was a big mistake. The reason I migrated was because of this. The halflings in the race governance, on the 3rd tier, maybe the 3rd or 4th tier, get bonuses to the Cloverfield in their domain. So I'm like, we'll try this, we'll migrate to halflings. I think at the end, it was kind of a mistake. The humans would have not been bad. Oh, the other reason we did it was because migrating is just faster. It's just faster overall to gain access to the city and start producing. But overall, this didn't really pay out. Humans are not bad in the Dreadnought Empire. A lot of their units are armored. Maybe we could have made good use of that. Then from here, I don't remember exactly what we did, but we ended up, I think we came this way. I don't know how we went, but we came up here and this was a human city as well. It has a human name still, Sik Bockerstonian. Took this, I think we migrated here, obviously, and then we left. We left the area. This was, we founded this ourselves. None of this existed. This was all frontier here. We were going this way, and then all of a sudden, this player, the elf druid here in the northwest, had made his way down this way and took it back. Took it back with a boar, I believe. Arch-Druid. So we saw that, we turned back around, came back and took it by force, and then did a little investigation, I guess, kind of like got a drone out maybe, saw the tower, we started seeing what he was up to, and then we came up here and we made a pick. I remember we made a pick on his, he had left a couple units out in the open. Like an Elf Initiate and Storm Sister here. So we made that pick. So then we got a bit aggressive here. We started feeling kind of, like in a good spot. He was summoning animals, and this is kind of one mistake on his part, summoning a lot of animals, trying to scout, which is, that is a good thing. Using the animals to scout, but he did it like too many times. It was just too many times, and we were like killing all these animals. He took our drone out, so it was a bit back and forth, but the pick, combined with killing a lot of the animal scouts, we got kind of opportunistic, pulled over here. I remember we kind of pulled out of sight, out of range and out of sight. We knew he was here. The tower informed us he was here, absorbing this or whatever. We pulled here opportunistically, thinking like, okay, we got all these cavalry, we could make an attack. This was a vassal of his, we could make an attack here. Make an attack here. We ended up pulling here, and then we had him on the run all of a sudden. He was, throwing all those animal scouts away. We outnumbered at this point, and he ran here. He kind of did a bait and switch on us. He got a bit sneaky, went this way instead of this way. Threw us off a bit, and we lost track. Then came back for the pursuit, and then it was good by him. It's good by the druid. Kind of having some more mobility, sort of, and he took some fights here, took some like production resource. So he's clearing stuff. It's good. He crosses the mountains. We were too slow to follow, so we saw it, and then we pulled back around and then kept pursuit, and we pursued him all the way through here, pursuing right on his tail through here. He went up this way. We were right on his tail, and it was at this point here, he took our city, right? This had been taken. But this was his mistake. He should have gotten out here. If I remember correctly, he should have been able to escape. And, if he had, he escapes with his life, his army, and, maybe we kind of like we've won the macro game a bit. Like we kind of played macro, took the city back here. We've regained control, sort of, although who knows if he would have came down and harassed here. Bottom line is he could have gotten out, but he didn't. He made the mistake. He got greedy. Took a column. There was a column of champions here that we had left. So that's a big mistake. He could have just continued rushing, but he's wasting time taking this, wasting move points. And we ended up, this is why we have this big mess of roads here. Because we were here, we were able to catch him out here. Because he wasted too many move points. So that's where this player fell. At this point, we came back, we cleared this, we kind of developed this area, and then did a split. We split up our heroes and army. Sent one army this way with, the two dreadnoughts, Bilba and Dargel. And then we sent Karzen and Raspik, Goblin Druid, Raspik up through here. Clearing here, right, we cleared a monster den, we were developing this area, and then here, those two splits. So Raspik splits off from Karzen, develops the underground. So Raspik went in down and under. Karzen continued up, took over here, took the former vassal here. We're developing, eventually making our way to take the former Druid's throne city. Okay, so that's on that front. Bilba and Dargel, meanwhile, came back this way. We developed here. We had to come back. All of this was left undeveloped because of that big pursuit, right? We wanted to come back, but we got into this fight here because he took the city, and then it became like opportunistic. But we had to come back, and in fact, it was an interesting game because we went heavy onto the base halfling racial units. I almost never do that. We went heavy on this, and we actually took the racial governance for these, buffing them up. Produced a lot of them, a lot of Night Watch, a lot of adventurers, and developed through here. Cleared this. This set was all frontier. We settled this, so this was not even here. Developed here. In fact, we settled this, but without clearing, so this had already been settled. Bilba and Dargel came through here, clearing all this. We did a quest for our neighbor, developing everything here, everything. Eventually, those two made their way here, and we encountered this player, Nidhyogg, the elf druid here in the southeast. Could have made an attack. We tried to bait him out here, but it kind of failed. Kind of did it poorly. I think he had good vision. He's a druid after all, and yeah, he spotted us. He knew what we were up to. We could have actually forced it, but we decided not to and play the long game. Was it the right choice? I don't know. I don't know. But we came and then took this by force. He had absorbed this. He had a few defenders, but we took it. And then we just sat here for a long time. It was very back and forth, kind of like, because he had so many hunters, so much range power, so many longbows and longbowmen and stuff, and quite a hefty army. He had a Yeti and stuff, probably from the dungeon here. That we couldn't really. We had all of our base, Night Watchmen and all this base racial units, so we were too scared to do a real siege, so we just held off, kept building up here. It was very back and forth. I've kind of and then here, what happened was the Dreadnought sswdidi brought. He was a bit too eager here with his leader coming through here, and we caught him out. But I've kind of gotten ahead of ourselves because. Right, like from here, during all this time when Bilba and Dargal were building up here, and we were kind of like in a standoff with the other druid. Karzen was moving up through here, developing here, and then this was a vassal of the Dreadnought in the north. So we took here, developed here, took here. Karzen eventually went down here. We developed all this. We may have done one quest for the Archon Revenants, and then came back up. Karzen eventually made his way here. We founded the Wrench Fort, developed all through here. And then from there, Karzen ended up marching this way. But and then during this time, Raspik, obviously Raspik had split off from Karzen some time ago, and then we developed here. It was kind of sloppy. Not happy about it, and then we developed a bit here, came back, developed through here, and then Raspik ended up just making our way all the way underground with the intention of popping up the cave here, because because we had this big standoff here. That was Raspik's mission. We found this fort. We found this interesting. It's a naturally occurring maze, underground maze of tunnels, and it's natural because if you were tunneling this with a builder, they would turn into barrens, but they're not. So it's completely natural, guys. Very interesting. But yeah, that was Raspik. During this time, we hired Faye. Faye, right? Where is Faye? Necromancer. Here she is. Faye the Frigid. Hired Faye here. This was during all that time, and we may have even just been barely on the verge of a standoff here, is where Bilba and Dargal were when we hired Faye. She held off a boneyard stack that was rogue. It was rampaging around here and attacked us here. She held that off. Came down, we took the boneyard out with Faye. Came through here with Faye. Faye is the one who, for the most part, took the attack on the Dreadnought here when he was a bit too eager with his leader poking in here. And then Faye made her way up here. We did a quest, but she eventually made her way here. Took that former vassal here, Sudron, up through here. Faye ended up going underground, launched an attack here on this city of, we discovered it, City of Tiz. Very amazing battle. You might want to go back. It was maybe, if I remember, like turn 54, 55 in that area. Amazing little battle involving a lot of fire, obviously. He had the pillar. Very cool battle. It is worth watching. Probably the high point of this game. Took this. Meanwhile, Karzen came through here. We brought him back after everything. And then reunited. We kind of united with Faye, although he went off this way, clearing through here. And then Faye and Karzen unite here on the front, and this is where we've left off. Here. Once we, back to Bilba and Dargal, what happened was the elf druid here, this player, and the Dreadnought actually were fighting up here. unbeknownst to me. In fact, this city out here was, for some time, a vassal. So a deep vassal of the Druid. Hey, I'm just, side note, you know, I'm seeing the bag here. Can I move up here? No, it's not letting me. He obviously, the Dreadnought obviously had a hero here, unless it could even be he's a leader. I'm not sure. Hard to say. But anyways, yes, they were fighting up here, and eventually that gave us the go-ahead because he kind of moved. We played very patiently here. He kind of moved off to go support this way, and then we marched here. And by that point, we had a tremendous amount of forces. Bilba and Dargal marched through here. Raspik eventually rejoined. We pushed up through here. This is the former Druid's throne city. This was an interesting fight because we took very heavy casualties here, very heavy, because they actually have a stone wall. It's hard to tell, isn't it? So this is a big takeaway this game too. Learning how, you know, the reason you can't see it is because this is a wetland hex. It's very sunken, and I wasn't paying close attention, so it does showcase the power of the elf druid. Very, very strong range power. He had a bunch of hunters, a bunch of longbows, and storm sisters. We took heavy losses. We attacked with 4 stacks versus his 3. Because of the stone wall, we couldn't penetrate quickly enough. We took heavy losses. We lost all the golems. We lost a lot. It does showcase the power of the druid, and it's an important lesson to always pay close attention to if they have a wall or not. The wall makes a big difference. It also kind of showcases that defensive play in this game, it is a viable thing. I mean, obviously, you can look at the later game research and spells across all of the classes, all of the different classes, and you know, like for example, Warlord has a bunch of like enemy at the gate, enemy in domain, penalty, like buffs and debuffs, and like trying to quell those happiness penalties in cities. Well, it's geared around like a late game kind of slow, you know, real, like almost like medieval warfare, slow and painful sieging, and this is it. You know, it is viable, and the druid has the range power to be holding out like that. So, yeah, very, very interesting game. And then, you know, the surrender. Obviously, we marched. Eventually, we marched up through here. Bilba and Dargal. Also, I completely forgot about Giron. When did Giron join? I've completely forgotten about him. He was kind of like on the back burner this game. He came in. He may have been our... I don't remember. Was he before or after Faye? He may have been the last hero, which is why it's so... why he's so kind of like unmemorable. Anyways, but this is the end game. We marched up in force, and you know, the game, it's just too much, so surrender makes sense. Anyways, guys, very long, 60 turn game, very long FFA, very good. You know, we did learn a lot. I hope this game kind of shows that, you know, a lot of this shouldn't have been allowed to happen. Just kind of to end the summary here. You know, the aggressive play that we did here in the beginning, this was around turn 20, 25. It shouldn't be allowed to happen, right? If the other players had been more aggressive early, you know, we were pretty undefended out here, and this is ripe for the taking. So it should not be allowed, really. Defensive play in these FFAs should be the norm, and I hope we'll see more of that. I hope people learn and see kind of what these games can be or should be. You know, what the true potential is. Anyways, guys, that's enough summarizing. Let's go to the scoreboard. Set everything. A lot of events. We can just pull that up and then go to the scoreboard. Let's take a look. It should be. It's incredibly massive. 30,000, 31,000 overall. I mean, we took over the whole map. It is the end. I mean, the end game. You know, we can look at the. We're all actually pretty even. Look at this. So through here, overall score. We're ahead. We're ahead. But it's they're not far behind. Then we go way up here. We're kind of climbing. We're ahead. Here's where. Actually, here. Wait a minute. We're ahead, but Nidhyogg is close behind here. Look at that. And then at this point, he's ahead of us. You know, we'll have to take a look at the other. We're just looking at overall right now, but obviously it's factoring in all of these things. We'll go to look at the other graphs. Okay, and then here's where we got into the scuffle here, and there's the downfall of this elf druid. Where we did that fight, so that's the end there. Now, the Dreadnought here in the north has caught up, sswdidi, and we're all kind of on par here. Nidhyogg's actually pulling out ahead through here. Look at this, he's ahead, and then now we've all caught up here. There's a big even spot here, and then what happens? Then we pull. Well, we're still on par with Nidhyogg. We've pulled ahead of the Dreadnought, but then we kind of start skyrocketing here. Why is that? Turn 34. We're skyrocketing. These two are a little back and forth here. The Dreadnought then pulls ahead. sswdidi pulls ahead of Nidhyogg. And then from here, it's like the two Dreadnoughts were kind of skyrocket, and then we really skyrocket here. What is this? What's going on here? I'm not seeing any big events here. Peace with Nidhyogg S. I don't remember what that was. Oh, right here. That's the Faye. Okay. We're way ahead, but we've obviously, by this point, we've developed a huge region of the map. We've taken over this player's fallen empire, which should be, you know, just to kind of like mention the obvious, it should be, you know, when you see a player eliminated like that, you should be, you know, your mindset should be the other players as well, trying to take over, trying to, you know, because it's ripe for the taking. But we didn't see that, obviously, so we're just kind of free to expand. That's all very interesting. Let's go through these. Knowledge score. So the knowledge is a bit. The Nidhyogg, this druid is way ahead of us for a long time. Look at that. Everyone else is on par. But it looks like he went heavy into research. Why is that? Well, you know, one thing to say is the elves inherently have a higher knowledge income at each of their cities. It's like +3 bonus. So that's something. I know he also had a vault of knowledge here. Maybe that's factoring. Who knows? And then here we ended up skyrocketing. And this Dreadnought pulls ahead. Okay, so that's knowledge. Happiness. How do you read this? I'm always like, what with this? Happiness. Down. We're all kind of down, and then here this Dreadnought pulled up. Draconian Dreadnought pulls up. We're way down. And then Nidhyogg's down here, and I don't even know, you know, how is this working? What does this even mean? There's probably a lot going into this, like, it includes morale and everything. Who knows? Military score. Okay. Well, we're all pretty even through here. This player's ahead at one point. Well, you know, Druid. Well, why is he so ahead? Going heavy on the animal summons, maybe. Maybe that's it. Even compared to this Druid. I mean, this is also a Druid, so... we're all kind of on par. We pulled ahead here. I'm not sure why that is. We were summoning Hellhounds, so that's something to say. Now the Dreadnought's ahead. You know, what's going on there? The Dreadnought's ahead in the north. Maybe producing conventional military. He didn't have any like summons aside from like drone. Then we pulled way ahead. Maybe this is where we're going heavy into the I don't know, Hellhounds, but maybe we were producing a lot of Night Watch at home, Night Watchmen, Adventurers, that kind of thing. We're way ahead here. This is turn 17. This is where close to the downfall here. So we're producing. I mean, part of it is we were making picks during this time on this druid, the green druid. So we're making picks, and he's losing military that way. But we must have been producing at home out of precaution, right? Because it's just completely open. Our heroes are way out in the east, so but we're way ahead. Then we went down here, or maybe they caught up. We didn't go down too much. I mean, we lost some in this battle. Maybe that's part of it, taking out this druid. The other two players are up. The druid is up. It's kind of expected. Animal summoning, right? Compared to the dreadnought. Maybe hunters, who knows? We're kind of even here, everybody, and then eventually we started skyrocketing. Probably because we're expanding like crazy and we were producing a lot. Eventually this is almost turn 40, yeah. We're doing cannons, we were spamming cannons, we were spamming golems and everything, muskets. We really skyrocketed here. Okay. And then the dreadnought here went up. So it's military, and then domain score. This is interesting. We're all even. Oops, missed the damn arrow. Even. These players are a bit higher. Now we're kind of high. Well, we did take Dorevar, right? Remember the human city that we migrated? Yeah, we're all on par. We are a bit ahead here. We were taking action. We were attacking cities here, nearby cities. We're going up. We're ahead here. We're ahead all through here. Then we went down. Turn 20, we went down. Why did we go down? Our city was taken by this player, so maybe that could be why. Domain score, right? Dorevar was taken. And then we took back, and then we eliminated. So, but then the dreadnought. So we're all on par. At this point, sswdidi pulls out ahead of everybody. So he's expanding a lot. But we're catching up. Nidhyogg is slowly on a slow expansion here. I mean, it is elves do have a lower population growth, something to keep in mind. So, and then we pulled way out. We're expanding a lot during this time. He went down here. So what does that mean? Maybe we had no idea that these two players were fighting. They could have been fighting during this time somewhere, and maybe back in here. And we just never knew about it. We never would have known about it because we're out this way. So we went down. We're skyrocketing, but then he caught way up. He went way back up. And his domain is way higher than this druid, but we're still skyrocketing. And then here we really skyrocket. Turn 50. That's when we're taking over this empire. So we're fighting the druid here in the southeast. So that makes sense. All right, guys. Well, that's everything. How long was this? Damn, a 29-minute. I'm surprised by that. 29 minutes summary. It is a 60-turn game, very long game. A lot went down in this game. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I really, like I said, I hope this game kind of shows people kind of what's possible and at least, what I kind of think these games could be if players were more aggressive and, like I said, the scuffle here in the early game, it should be punished. It shouldn't be so easy to get away with that. This druid should have been testing here with. I mean, she is a druid. The scouting is not maybe as good as some other classes, but probing around in here and then seeing that it's kind of empty and maybe looking to attack. These games are 4 players on a medium map. there should be some like push and pull between the players, early on, like we saw here, like around turn 20. But overall, if the players are, you have to be more defensive. It should be more defensive play in a game like this. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I will catch you in the next game.